Okay, welcome to this morning's Fife property show, or Dundee property show, actually, or Edinburgh or Glasgow property show now. Maybe the Scottish property show would be the right thing for this. Okay, let's talk about board with bare walls. I have no idea what this is going to all be about, but it's bringing blank spaces back to life with these expert design tips. So if you're looking for some inspiration, I was going to say you maybe shouldn't look here. No, definitely look here. Definitely look here, because everyone really has walls, but choosing how to style them can be a really tricky task. Got an expert on here, Richard. Yes, you are. You go to your house and it's all blooming, it's all Art Deco and all the rest of it. It's really, really nice inside. You've got a natural flair for this, Richard. So I think we're going to rely on you quite a bit to give us all this.
You put it on me this morning, then.
Yeah, well, definitely. So too much blank spaces, put it this way, can actually make a place feel cold and unfinished, a bit like this office right now. I was just saying that before we came on air, eh? It's like it's Baltic here. It's like, I feel like I should have a quill and ink and go humbug. We're getting to that time of year, I suppose. Feeling cold and unfinished. Well, too much going on can actually look cluttered and confused as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, when it comes to selling, your walls can add a focal point to photos and turn browsers into buyers and help you get a faster sale and even boost your sale price as well. So in short, your walls are worth some thought. Magnolia. If you're watching and you're Magnolia person, then you're maybe going to have to take heed.
You've been converted, Jim.
Definitely. You did. Well, grey. I've been converted from Magnolia to grey. That's about it, really. That's about as far as it gets. So if your walls are needing some thought, this show for you is definitely the one. Now we're going to be choosing. We're going to be talking about choosing a covering. So what you should be choosing, using everyday objects, being smart with your art, like the way I've done that. Smart with art, making material differences. And also going with nature, which is actually a really good one. Going with nature at the end of this is actually a really good one to listen and tune into. Whatever type of home you live in, you can be rest assured, whatever your decorative taste is, you'll find plenty of inspiration to replace any bothersome bareness with wall-to-wall style. Now that I've promised that, we've got to deliver, I suppose. Let's start then, Richard. Let's talk about, choosing the right covering.
Choosing a covering, yeah. So I know as well as a covering, obviously, for a wall, providing that backdrop to whatever you want to choose to hang on your walls, whether it be art or whatever. Do you know, your choice of covering can really be a feature in itself, and you'll know that a lot of people spend a lot of time deliberating about different shades. And you did mention it, grey, and you wouldn't believe the amount of different shades of grey there is, and they are slightly different. So with various techniques and finishes and things to suit possibly any period or type of theme, there's a few things to think about. And that includes, obviously, like I said, paint initially. Beyond decorating your room just all one colour, people have started to do just like a feature wall. And whether it is, and I've done it myself, do you know, shades of grey, and you've got a different shade or a darker shade on one wall, a lighter shade on another wall. You could even have 3 different shades in one room. And it's that contrasting tone and that the things that maybe highlight the fireplace wall and have that darker or lighter or whatever you just choose to do. And just add depth, possibly. Do you know, a lot of the ex-local authority properties and things have this alcove at the side and then you've got the fireplace wall, just to kind of make that kind of pop or add a bit of depth to it as well. And even to frame windows and things as well. Different shades of paint are really quite an important thing to think about. I think when you're decorating your home for yourself as it is, but even just to maybe add that wee bit extra to your listing and attract viewers, and a lick of paint, as we've always said, could do wonders.
Do you think that's then like just using different shades to look like shadows? Does that make sense? Like inside of the inside of the window or the inside of the alcove,
Yeah.
And you create that shadow or that lightness in order, yeah, it's like what you said, to make it pop.
Do you know what? And my living room, and you'll know this, Jim, right? And it's an ex-local authority, and it's quite a long room, and it's dual aspect windows. The hearth wall sits out, and the walls either side sit back. So
Yeah.
the hearth wall I've decorated in a really dark colour. Then the walls that sit behind in a slightly lighter colour, and then the rest of the walls are all lighter. And it's the way it makes it levels it up, and like you say, it adds a bit of depth. So yeah, just those different shades.
Because I mean, when you walk into some houses, you can walk into a room, and you're right. You've got 3 walls which are actually all the same color, or all the same shade, and then you've got this one wall which is a completely different contrasting color. But they sometimes have the fireplace on there, and it kind of works.
Yeah, definitely. Or even if you don't have a fireplace wall, a lot of people, it's the TV wall, and you know, people are creating whole entertainment walls now. Do you know, that as a focal point of a room, and some of them are really nice and really stylish and things. So there's a lot of different things and creating that focal point, and we'll touch on that as we go through today as well. But yeah, definitely the shades of the color of paint that you use and what walls you put them on. Wallpaper's another thing. I always try and be careful with wallpaper, and we're going to talk about different wallpapers just now, and some of them I'm not a fan of. But do you know, modern designs, do you know, everything from people blowing up photos on wallpaper to using maybe, do you know, pictures of trees, even full height like art, Picasso pictures and things are put onto wallpaper now. You can put anything on wallpaper. You also get these types of things like having an actual wallpaper that depicts a bookcase or even books themselves. I've seen that, and you have to be careful with that, because I think that could really bring a room in, and make it feel a bit obviously closed in. But in the right use and the right setting, it could be really nice.
I've walked into some rooms and actually thought genuinely it was maybe timber, or it was maybe a bookshelf. You know how people have that, you know how people have that, like that Edwardian wood.
The paneling.
The paneling, yeah, that's it, the paneling. So they have that sort of paneling on there, but you actually go over and feel it, and it's, whoa, it's wallpaper.
They're actually quite good. I like them.
It's like, that's weird.
Yeah, because it could really, that, and again, that adds just so much to a room, and it's only a roll of paper, and it creates that illusion that the walls are panelled in this high quality wood.
Yeah.
Or timber, should I say.
That's only really come to that. I mean, that was never available before. It's only with the advent of digital printing and stuff like that, it's made it economic to do it. Whereas, you know, if you're using litho printing, you know, going back to the days of having inks and having to do, you know, 3 different inks or 4 different inks to get that color, it would just cost an absolute fortune to do it. So all these new decorations and new wall coverings are purely just available because of the technological advances in printing technology.
Yeah, I mean, turn back even 40, 50 years, there was nothing to that level at all.
Well, people just used to. I don't know if you notice it. The ex-local authorities, especially, and maybe the older style properties, when you've taken the wallpaper off, you actually see the old glaze, because they never had wallpaper. They never even had paint. I think they just used to glaze their walls. So they just used to put a glazing on it, and sometimes they would put a different band at the top where the picture rail used to run along, or where it might have run along. So they maybe couldn't afford a picture rail, so they just made one up by painting a band around it. You know, just that wee thin band. It went round, and then above that, it possibly was a different colour, or maybe the same colour as what it was below it. That dare I say, magnolia sort of colour.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I've seen that glaze. I know what you're talking about.
Aye, and that, I think that's what they did, and I think that was just more to probably just to seal the wall in case they got it dirty or anything like that. It was able to be cleaned properly.
It was probably a more functional method, or like a protective method rather than aesthetic as such.
It'd be interesting to see if anybody knows the answer to that. So if anybody knows the answer to that about why walls, I know the obvious answer is like the walls were glazed because they never had wallpaper. But did they glaze them for a specific purpose, apart from they never had the wallpaper? And we probably worked out it's because it makes it easy to clean. But was there another purpose behind that? I'd be interested to hear if anybody knows anything about that, and stick it in the comments, and we could actually maybe talk about it.
Yeah, it would be quite interesting if people interject, especially with subjects like this, because a lot of people have their own views and things as well. So yeah, I mean, we've covered paint and wallpaper. You could also think about going really raw with material and things as well. This is my favourite one, and I'm sure you'll agree, Jim, when I say about this one. Like, when you think about polished plaster walls, they add that kind of naturalistic type thing, but they give that earthy feel to like living rooms and bedrooms, and do you know, also as well. And I really love like the exposed original brick or concrete. That could really add a sense of kind of warmth and history. Now, we see this quite a lot, like stonework. Think in East Newcombe and things, when you've got stone built cottages and things, we see it, and they make features out of the exposed stonework and brick, or you know, whatever it may be, whether it's original timbers and things, and the timbers in the ceiling and things as well. Do you know, they could really add a lot of character. And like you said at the beginning there, Jim, it could really help you sell faster and even boost the price that you ultimately get for your property, because these features are so they're quite captivating in a listing, and they create that feeling when you're doing the viewing, when you're walking around a property and you see all these things, and it actually takes you back to the history of the property, because these cottages and things along East Newcombe, do you know, God, they go back hundreds of years.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right about that. It's quite interesting, but you know, I'm seeing comments made about, you know, the painted glazes walls. It was to add a little texture and a lot of character to your walls, but with you know, and it was just different. It was different. It was just to give it some sort of depth. It's coming back to you talking about the shadows.
Yeah.
It just gives it a different depth, and it gives it. So it was definitely something that, you know, people used to do for that very purpose. I mean, for centuries, artisans have used glazes to add texture and depth to art, furniture and walls. And glazes are a great alternative to solid colours and wallpaper. So that's technically what's been said in the comments here.
Yeah.
So you know, I'd be interested to hear if there's anything else to that, if anybody wants to say anything about it. But you're right, the feeling of the brick and the concrete, it can add a real sense of, you know, the warmth, exposed brick. And the East Neuk's unbelievable for that.
Yeah. I've been, well, you've obviously been in some as well, Jim, but I've been in some spectacular ones, and they've really made all these features and the original parts of the building really pop. Well, and made it part of their decor. But
isn't it like you've got the printed wallpaper that we talked about with the slate?
Yeah.
But when you go to the East Neuk, it actually is the slate.
It's real. It's the real deal. Yeah.
And then people actually have downlighters or uplighters to highlight the wall itself. So when you walk into the room, it looks a fantastic feature.
It creates that shadow and things as well. It's just, that's amazing. I've seen some.
And then you have some of the ones that are B listed. I've not seen an A listed yet. Properties, but the B listed are interior things that they want to keep. Now, I remember in Shore Street in St Moniz especially, you went up to the top bedroom, and what it was there was an old arch behind all the panelling. There was an old arch, which is a stone arch. It goes right from one room to the other, because upstairs was a net loft, I think, previously, or something to that effect. And it had actually been boxed out and stud partitioned. But they exposed some of it, and you actually see the arch behind it, which is a big, massive stone arch. It looks absolutely fantastic. And yet, some people have kept all these things hidden for years and years and years because they've never known they existed.
Yeah, you tend to find, like, through the times, like the 60s and the 70s and things, a lot of these panelled walls and whatever was in trend at the time. And yeah,
doors was the hardboard
and the original door, and walls and features and things. It's crazy what you can find.
They put the hardboard paneling on the doors because the doors cracked and they let some of the drafts through. So they actually put the paneling on the door and they put a beading around it. And if you see that on a door, you'll probably find it's got the old Windsor style and behind it, and it'll probably look pretty good. But it was just a thing. Some people did it purposely to block up the cracks and everything, because you know, your wood expands and contracts and eventually splits, and you see a split coming in the middle, and it lets a draft through, especially in these old houses when they never had double glazing or anything.
And they didn't have central heating or anything as well.
Yeah. So that's the purpose behind it, and then it became fashionable to do it. People started doing it out of fashion.
Yeah.
So
Which,
I
which is
mean,
it's quite out of fashion now, but yeah, there's a lot of features and things you could find underneath these panels and things. But
and the polished plaster's a thing, yeah. You know, I could.
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
you
definitely.
even see. I mean, we're talking maybe possibly like grand designs and things as well, but you even see people doing their worktops in the kitchen, and it's just polished concrete, and it looks
Yeah.
amazing. It's just concrete that's polished up, and it looks really good. So
And then you also have that resin that people pour on their
yeah,
worktops, and then they put things like leaves and petals and stuff like that in it, and it seals it in,
hmm
the resin itself. So you know, there's lots and lots of things that you can do for the coverings. Um,
yeah,
and then that brings us then on to when we're talking about plants and all the rest of it, and stuff like that. I mean, you know, you could even use everyday objects.
yeah. Yeah, you definitely could. I mean, I think for probably practical storage or even just for
Yep.
like displaying your favorite things, grouping together objects from whatever you've acquired. Maybe, do you know, over time you could create a kind of unique wall feature.
Mm,
And there is some examples, and I'll run through some just now. So I think, like I said about the things you've collected and displaying your personal collections, try not get too personal. I think when you're trying to list, but obviously if you're trying to list a property and demonstrate how you have lived in it and things and enjoyed it, then it's good to show your own collections with some intentional, do you know, shelving and things with vintage. Do you know if you collect cameras or I don't know pottery or some memorabilia? There was one I've had Denise Nuke and I listed, and he had it was football jerseys, and he had them all framed in really like expensive frames. He had them all the way along in his office, and I just remember how great it looked, and had the right color
yeah.
scheme and everything go with it. It was amazing. And almost anything can really make a really striking vision like that if you've got memorabilia or collectibles or things that you want to have displayed, and then showcases how you could use a different space, whether it be a home office or you know, or even your hallway or something in the property. So that's a really good day for using everyday objects and things that you have. In the kitchen, I like this, especially if you've got country style kitchens or you know, as hanging up cookware and you have your pots and things all hanging on the wall, or even have above the island if you've got an island stove top and having the pots and things above, or even like a hood above as well.
Yeah.
Um, and that would really appeal to, you know, people that like, I mean, the kitchen's the heart of the home and it is always one of the most important rooms, and a lot of people like cooking, or a lot of people try to be good at cooking now, and you know, so a nice kitchen with all these pots and you know, creating that feeling of a family kitchen where cooking's done and things, then that will really appeal to people when they're looking at listing or considering buying, and that's
You
something to
tend,
think about as
you
well.
tend to find that's a lot in the dining kitchens, where
hmm
you've got the family table in there as well, and it's like what you say. Some of them become sociable because you've got seating areas and possibly even a stove in
Yeah,
there as well to complement it in the seating area itself. I've seen that a few times roundabout. Overall,
yeah,
instantly about the memorabilia one. I walked into, where was it recently? It was out the back at Piscotty in Cooper,
uh-huh.
and it was and he had memorabilia, and it was all the old motorbike stuff.
Right.
So it was all going back to all these different things, and all the James uh, Kenny Roberts and that. So you'll know them. They
Right.
were motorcyclists in their day. Kenny Roberts and stuff. They all they rode for Kawasaki. So
Right. Okay.
Kawasaki and Yamaha. Kenny Roberts was oh, I'll get lambasted here if I get this wrong. Kenny Roberts was Yamaha, I'm
Right.
sure. um, and there was other ones as well. Barry Sheen was another one that most people know about. Barry Sheen. And these were all motorcyclists, and the whole place was just like that. And it was really nice to walk into that. It wasn't personal, but it just gave it that sort of difference. And it just
hmm
so happens that person as well was so heavily involved in restoring bikes like that, old
And
antique bikes.
that would just have clicked with them straight
Yeah,
away. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. So I think yeah, personal collections can add a lot of character
Yeah.
to a property.
They
Just
add
make
a story to a property as well. Do you know they add that story to the person that lives there and creates that whole focal point.
well, look at, and we'll come back to East Nuke again.
hmm
We'll also talk about when you think about St Andrews.
Yeah.
So golf memorabilia is good for St Andrews. You know,
Yeah.
beach
It's
stuff. You
attracts a
know,
lot of people there,
arts,
yeah.
crafts, the blues, the marine blues and the whites and the bathrooms. These are all things that will complement everything. And you get these all at the gift shops. I mean, Gifts and Gibbles and is a really good one for that in these areas. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of other ones in the coast as well, in Pitt and Weem and St Monans and in Crail. There's a lot of gift shops that give you all these wee different things that complement what your house could be and the theme that goes along. As I said, St Andrews is a really good one with gift shops here as well for the golf memorabilia.
Yeah.
And that, because remember, people are coming there to buy them for that reason.
Yeah, it's what
So
attracts a lot of buyers to St Andrews.
yeah, so it makes sense to kind of have some sort of theme on that line when you're in a room that there might be something on that sort of thing to do with
Yeah, I
golf
mean, I
or
think
these colours.
when it's golf and you're in St Andrews, I mean, as well as obviously being probably somebody's hobby and what they like doing, it also resonates with the history of the area as well. Do you know, so it all ties in, and it will be quite appealing to somebody that's looking in the St Andrews area, because obviously, as we all know, or hopefully we all know, that St Andrews is the home of golf. So,
Yeah.
and that's a big selling point, definitely. With I mentioned about the kitchens and things and creating that kind of that chef's kitchen type thing and having pots and pans and all the rest of it hanging up. Do you know, if you're creating that kind of look and having that, you're also freeing up a lot of space in your cupboards, or do you know, if you've got a pantry cupboard or whatever, do you know, by having these things out of there and on display, and at the same time creating that kitchen, that heart of the home element as well. I think that when we talk about using everyday objects, they could be quite useful in terms of space saving, like I said about the cupboard space in the kitchen, but also think about hallways and entrance hallways. There's nothing worse when you come into an entrance vestibule or the start of a hallway and there's just a big jumble of coats and bags and shoes. And I mean, it happens in everyone's home. But you know, if you've got the right space, you could even have one of these really nice coat stands and have everything on there and make a feature of it, but at the same time saving all that space. Especially when you've got quite a reasonable sized entrance vestibule where you could actually have space to have one, rather than it all lying about in smelly shoes and old coats. And it's not good to walk into when you're doing
What do you do? You've got I tell you what do you do if you've got a fantastic trainers collection? You know, like Nike and
well, I've seen a lot of people have them all
aye.
straight out in the boxes.
Yeah, when you think about that, you've got a really good trainers collection, Adidas and Nike and everything.
Yeah.
You know, and that would look pretty good, wouldn't it? As well as, and here's really a bohemian way out there. It's like the hat collection. Somebody's maybe right into their hats. I mean, you walk into an older generation, a lot of the women have their hats and what they had, and they've got them all stored away in the cupboard. There's maybe an opportunity, like you said, with the coat stand, to have some sort of hat collection and make it a bit more bohemian. But in an art decor, art nouveau
And a
sort of
tasteful kind of way,
style,
without cluttering up. Yeah, I get what you mean.
because it just, you know what it does? It reminds people of where they were.
Mm-hmm.
So what they don't forget, because the opportunity here is if they're going to see 5 properties, because maybe they have got a good choice in the area.
Yeah.
What's going to get yours to be remembered? How's yours going to stand out in some sort of shape or form from the rest of them to think, you know, and how's it going to play to the market it should play to?
Yeah.
And that's what I said about St Andrews is an obvious one with the golf. Even academically, the university.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a great plus point for that as well. Leaving Largo, beach, coastal path, train, possibly as well. Train theme, because the new train station, the amount of investment has gone into it. Cooper, golf, Ladybank.
It's even kind of similar.
Farming, Cooper, farming, more.
Yeah,
Definitely. Farming is definitely a good, maybe a good theme for Cooper. I mean, you're talking about, I don't know, mini tractors, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, Massey Ferguson tractors and stuff. These sort of just sitting there in a wee theme of a not really a display cabinet. I hate to say it, but it's usually the bog. It's usually the toilet, the WC. It gets all this.
For people watching that outside,
it's all the things you really like, but you've not got somewhere to put them. So it's like I'll put them there because I'll appreciate them more when I've got time on my hands. Well, I'm in the toilet.
Yeah, the bog is the toilet for anybody that's watching Out with Scotland.
Yeah, and here's a good one, and I've seen it. For example, for me, a shelf for books in the toilet. These are the sort of things that just create the right impression, and it also has a secondary use for a room. It could have a secondary use, or it could paint a secondary thing, which isn't the main theme for that room, maybe a bedroom, but it could be a home office as well because there's space for it. It could be a separate dressing area because it has that. It has that thing. It could be a study area. It could be something you really want it to be. It could be a photographer's bit. It could be a craft and arts thing. Some of the ones in that you've got around Fife. You walk in and you walk into the room, and then they've got this. They've just got a wee door that opens into a cupboard, but the cupboard's got a window to it, and it's enough to actually have maybe an office or a crafts or arts or even a dressing area in there.
Just something, yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely think there's a lot of things you can do rather than just actually having it as a cupboard for junk, especially if it's got a window and it could have another purpose.
That's quite a good point because a lot of time when you go out to go do initial walk rounds with people and if they're looking to sell or let their home, don't open that cupboard, it's just full of junk, and it's a big walk-in cupboard and you can't even walk in it because it's just full of stuff. There's an opportunity there to make use of that.
So adding some, so we could safely say by adding some designer panache, try painting your shelves the same colour as the wall for a more cohesive look that focuses the attention on your display, or go all out on funky hooks or for added visual interest.
Yeah, you get a lot of funky kind of coat hooks and everything nowadays that are incorporated into the design of a room. And they're quite obviously,
I mean, art for me is a really good one to do this, especially if you've got plain walls.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in an area. Here's a really good one, and I got this sent to me. This is a great one. This is in my room. Look, this is Glastonbury.
No, that's good. The pyramid,
but somebody's actually done that as a collage. They've actually taken it out of magazines and everything, and actually stuck it all together.
Oh, really? I thought it was. You can't. I can't. Look, I see it now.
That's all people. That's not a drawing. That's people. There's the obligatory "Jesus loves you" from Glastonbury. It's always there, that flag. If you look out for it.
That's really good. Did somebody send that to you?
Yeah, I got it as a gift because I helped a landlord out, an investor, and they immediately thought of me when they saw it, and they thought, "I'm going to have to get that for Jim."
I know, that's brilliant.
It's a great one.
Even just a lot more than it being painted, which would obviously take a lot of time as well. There's a lot more. There's a lot more creative kind of aspect put in it.
But to have that would be great for a music room, or when somebody's got their listening room or their dare I say, you didn't really get man caves anymore. It's a bit sexist saying that, but a man cave can be a woman cave as well. You know that, but then if you say it like that, everybody knows what it is.
Yeah.
Or it's for the girls as well. They could have their own place as well. But you know what I mean? It's like that's the sort of thing that's really good for that. Lockdown, obviously, a lot of people put out their back garden, got massive timber sheds and everything.
I think a lot of them are called boozy sheds now.
yeah, that sort of thing. So being smart with art can actually be quite good. I mean, you don't need to spend an actual fortune on for your own or original masterpieces to create a striking artwork in the home for itself. In fact, art can be anything that speaks to you, to your style and personality overall. So, but these are the things to look out for or focus on. Large format pictures are a one-stop solution for filling a wall. Maybe film or music posters. That's maybe a really good one to look at, in stunning frames. Remember, sometimes the frame is actually just as important as the actual artwork itself. Or get a photo from your camera blown up and actually print it on a canvas. Again, this comes back to what we talked about in the beginning. Digital printing is so cost effective now.
The way technology's changed things,
And photography itself, almost anybody could be a photographer nowadays. from what, if you compare any amateur on their mobile now, it's far beyond what everybody took back years and years ago with the 35mm camera.
I know, and it's all right here, do you know, in your hand. It's crazy.
Yeah. So these are the sort of things to possibly focus on if you've got a friend that's a really good photographer. There's a lot of them, and you're on maybe Facebook pages, like for example the East Nuke Photos and Beauty. The Leadmouth community pages has quite a bit of photos as well. The Cooper one's got one. St Andrews got a photograph page, a photo page as well. So these are photographs you think to yourself, if you do see one that's really, really good and you like it and you're not a photographer yourself, you could often approach the person and say, look, is there any chance I could buy that? And so I could actually get it blown up onto a canvas for myself, for my room. And I think most of them will probably just say, you can have it for nothing. I mean, some of them actually, all their professional kit and everything like that, or just a few quid to charity, or maybe a few quid to the person itself. I think that's a great way of finding the right photographs, if that's what you want to do.
I think having that really, like you say, the giant format picture in a nice frame, or even a giant canvas things, it's a good way to fill up if you've got really big wall space. Do you know, if you've got really high ceilings and large walls to fill, rather than filling it with loads of different things and cluttering it up, have one big print as a better idea.
Do you know what I've seen in some houses? Where was it? Pitt Scotty again, actually.
Yeah.
But I remember it was Derek. Derek was a great avid collector of African stuff, and tapestries on the walls and stuff like that, and masks, you know, from tribes, all these different things were really, you know, pretty special. Now that's pretty niche, but it suited the house and it suited the room. It was really nice. It went well with the area. So that's the sort of things that, and you talked about the giant walls and everything. And the things that you used to get in the past was the big massive maps.
I like that.
And you know, the big massive maps are going well. And you see some, you know, I was tempted to do it in the office at one point and put a map of Fife right on one of the walls and get it printed.
Well, we do have a map in the office, but it's not the whole wall.
Yeah, I think it's an A0 or something like that. It's the size of the map in a frame, and that's about it. But I was tempted to get one right on there, but I wasn't very sure how to go about and do that. I know people will tell me that's so easy to find out how to do that, but at the time, I didn't think about it.
But when you were talking about using local things, like obviously the theme in the office is was local pictures of local things, like the shell house and things in Leiden and whatever, in black and white, and people used to always be drawn right to them when they come in the office. We've now obviously updated them with the coloured versions. What's the artist's name again? I forgot.
I can't remember.
Oh damn. Well, anyway, but he done really great pictures.
Ian Green, that's it.
Ian Green, that's it. Ian done all the ones of like the local areas, and we've got them in the office, and they're brilliant. So we went that direction instead of the map, I suppose.
So they also look great in the home when you see that. But in political, maybe geological, nautical, I suppose everybody loves a map, especially when you think about it. If you've got an old map see the old maps of Scotland before Scotland was really Scotland. Going back to the Pictish area, I think for certain types of rooms it might be appropriate, but no for your living room, I don't think.
Well, but like you said, a lot of people now have home offices and studies and, you know, places they maybe just chill out and read a book and things. So that they kind of areas, and that could create that feel for a certain area. Like this is where you would sit with your computer or sit with a book or whatever. Yeah.
I'm looking about to see if I've got anything else in here. See. Because a really good one here is you just get wee smaller photographs. This is where if you've got a mobile phone, you can easily print them out and frame them.
Yeah.
You can maybe even get one of these collage ones where you can actually, you know, you see them all in, you just fit them all in into there as well. And so you get a bunch of smaller pictures or photographs, and you can group them together on the wall and use matching frames. For a designer look, conscious look, and a mix of styles for maybe a Bohemian chic Bohemian. What was that all about? Put my brain in gear more than likely.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because like, well, what I've done in a room is I've done the walls all one colour, papered one wall, And the wallpaper that's on the wall, I've actually kept extra and framed it and put it on the painted wall, so it reflects the wallpaper in a frame. So yes, I suppose I do have a wee bit of interior design touch, but
thank God you're on this show.
it works quite well. It's quite good because it obviously resonates with the paper and the frame. And it's funny because people don't realise to start with that it's actually the wallpaper that's in the frame. It's quite good.
So, so do you think the best part is that you'll probably achieve a higher impact?
Yeah, it's to create that. Yeah, and it's like when people walk in, you want to straight away draw their eye to something and create that. And like we say, people always react and make decisions and on their emotions. And if you could create the right emotions in a room and in your property when people are viewing because of what's around them, then you're onto a winner, I think.
So I've art-filled home with meaningful, eye-catching pieces, I suppose.
Yeah,
you know, telling your story without actually breaking the bank.
Yeah.
Result.
Yeah, I think, and like that wallpaper in the frame thing. I mean, it was just plain black frames. It cost, £7, £8. I can't remember. But it created that really good look. So
I touched on this previously then.
Yep.
About about rugs on the wall. Is that something that's still in fashion, still in vogue, or is it still out?
Yeah, I mean,
a bit indifferent.
In the right situation, I think. Obviously, textiles and things. Yeah, textiles and things are often referred to as kind of the cornerstone of kind of interior design as such. They're always usually associated with like beds and sofas and windows seats. But they don't always have to be, like you says about back in medieval times and things, they hung large rugs on the walls, and actually the reason for that at the time was to keep obviously the heat in. People were living in old stone-built castles and things as well, so they had these big rugs on the wall as a form of kind of insulation as such, but obviously a decorative touch. And they also looked really fabulous as decoration as opposed to just being an insulation. And as do like kind of woven bedspreads and throws and things as well. So, I mean, a piece of fabric picked up on your travels and things. You said about people using things from their travels, or from your favourite store. I mean, it doesn't have to be for overseas. It could be for somewhere local. Stretch it out. It could be stretched out in a canvas nowadays. There's a lot of things you could do. It could even be framed. There's a lot of nice framers about here. That you could frame anything and make it look really good, as long as you say, Jim, the frames.
Probably anything goes nowadays.
Yeah, the frames is as much as what's in the picture as it is the picture itself or whatever you're framing. And that could be any kind of fabric. You could do silk and linen and whatever it is, depending on the theme that you're going for, and make it look really quite a nice finish with a frame. And then you were talking about was it the guy in Strathmiglo that had the African theme as well. And you get obviously you could get different themes from across the world. I mean, like Japanese kimonos and things, or like the Chinese hanfas or whatever they're called. They look stunning when they're hung in on a really tall wall. This is where you're trying to fill in spaces.
You've got it going all the way down.
Yeah,
all the way, and you see all the writing all the way down and stuff like that, and all the different. That look. I mean, it could be. It could be saying something really boring, by the way.
Nobody's going to know.
But nobody's going to know because it looks pretty artful.
Yeah, and it's a really good way to fill in. If you've got big staircases or high double height ceilings, and things like right up to the roof line, you really need big pieces and big striking pieces and things to fill these spaces without over cluttering it and to create that right kind of feeling.
That's that space. When you go into these old stately homes, they've got like life-size pictures of the people from past.
They need to fill the spaces.
Walls going up the stairway.
Yeah. So hanging textiles and things as well, or even framing them in your home, gives you the wall or the staircase or whatever it is it's a really wonderfully kind of tactful quality that it gives it, and softens the room. Also acoustically, if you've got high ceilings and big rooms, it could muffle because
that's
important. Muffle that echo, yeah.
Because you do feel when you're in a room like that and there's no enough to be absorbed, the ambience is just pretty sterile.
Yeah,
there's nothing inviting about it. There's nothing warm about it.
Yeah,
And I think personally, it will probably turn a lot of people off just to have a room like that when they walk in. You know how people say when they walk in the door and they go, "I just know it's right for me," or I know it's no right for me.
And
I
people
think that's
make
the
that.
sort of
People
vibe.
make their mind up very, very quickly. I mean, that's not a long decision for them, or for their feelings to instigate how they are going to make that decision process, and it happens quite quickly when they walk into a property. So you need to catch them on the right feelings.
Yeah. So this brings us to the closing remark about what I talked about, and we'll go full circle for here. For going with nature, I mean, finding ways to welcome the natural world into your home is always probably a good move.
Yeah.
Creating a sense of, dare I say, calm, connection, enhances the space, and really, it could be done in every room.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people do resonate quite well with nature and outside. And I think, you see a lot of botanical themes and things coming in now as well. In kitchens and bathrooms.
What sort of things we should be doing now?
So I think the botanical thing's a big thing now. Plants aren't really just for sitting on the floor anymore in the corner. People used to have an old plant behind the couch, and I remember my gran used to have one of them.
I know.
Do you know what? But it's but they have them. They have like foliage and botanics and things lined up on shelves or hung up. Like kind of like pegboards or fixed on the walls with hooks, and they could create a really like a kind of indoor garden or indoor garden wall, and really bring nature inside a room without being actually outside. And I think
Which is
that a lot
pretty
of
good for people that don't
like,
have any outside space.
yes, if you're in apartments and flats, or you might not even have a balcony or a terrace or something. So to bring that outside inside just makes it all that wee bit more pleasant to be in the property.
Yeah. This is probably where you can then, I suppose, once you've got that done, you could start using mirrors. I know we talked about reflecting natural light, but if you've got quite a good outlook, maybe into a beautiful countryside view or garden or something like that, you can maybe actually use the mirror as a distinct advantage to capture the view from the outside inside on the wall.
Yeah.
That's probably a really good idea from an inside facing pot. Bring in possibly the sky, the trees, and other natural treasures, I suppose, that you've got.
Yeah, definitely. If you've got a good viewpoint that you could have basically pictured on your wall because you're reflecting it in a mirror. Do you know if it's the blue sky or if it's right across the countryside or even if it's the seaside? Take full advantage of that, definitely.
Or you could combine two methods and double the leafy effect by layering plants in front of a wall mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, I
When you look
suppose
at
you
it
can
like
have the
that,
mirror behind that, yeah.
that's when you walk in and go, God almighty, it's like flipping heck, what's going on here? It's like a jungle. And the next minute you realise it's actually a mirror at the other side.
Yeah. That creates that illusion, yeah.
And it probably creates twice the depth in the room as well. When you look at it like that. So there's different, I mean, beyond their decorative qualities, natural light and plants have so many well-being benefits. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, they take in carbon dioxide, they put out oxygen, purer air, reduce stress, increased happiness.
Yeah.
I always say increased contentment.
Contentment, yeah.
Yeah, contentment should be the pursuit because you'll always be happy if you want to be content.
Yeah.
Because content's easy to get. Probably a truly winning combination throughout that, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, like the outside, inside, and making use of the natural light and having, just that better feeling within when you walk into a room and have that feeling. Again, people will automatically react on their emotions to the room, and I think nature and light and things, using mirrors and that wee bit extra space that a mirror creates in a room is all plus points for me if you're going to be a viewer walking into a room.
Okay, so let's finish off here. Now, I would say though, not every wall needs a full makeover, but But when it's coming to time to like review things, whether you're actually letting a property, whether you're selling a property, having striking focal points for your photos can help you, and your videographer that come round, which is us, can help you make a bigger splash among the other homes for sale. I would say, definitely that's a feature that you need to take advantage of. But don't go ahead and run out and do it until you get advice first.
Speak to someone, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like you could be spending an absolute fortune going out and doing all this stuff, and then somebody walks in the door and going, "Oh my God, that is completely garish.
Yeah, too much.
You've overdone it. You've got carried away." It's like, but you might find that I could walk into a house, you could walk into a house, Richard, one of the other agents, Sophie, Craig, or Perry could walk in, and we could immediately go, "Yeah, that works straight away."
Yeah.
Or tell you what, move that from there to there. That's probably the best thing to do with that. And I think that's what the benefit lies of actually getting somebody out beforehand, rather than actually doing it all first and then getting them out and saying, "What do you think?" And it's like, okay, what do I think? Well, this has got to do that. This has got to do that. And then you go, "I feel offended." It's like, well, maybe you should have got them out first, and then says, "What do you think of my ideas?" And then they go, "Yeah, thumbs up," or maybe not, or that's the best thing to do. Get somebody out before you actually start that journey, because then you know what you need to do beforehand. If you need to do anything at all, I'll be honest, most houses I walk into, I go, "Yeah, this will sell."
Yeah.
When it sells, what price it gets is a completely different story, but it will sell because it's ready more or less to move in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about the advice and things, Jim. And we went right into kind of the nitty gritty today. I mean, we've spoke about memorabilia, we spoke about textiles, we spoke about original features. And do you know, a lot of people might think, well, my property's not got that. And it could only mean just maybe changing the colour scheme with liquid paint, decluttering, not having, do you know, changing your focal point or introducing a bit light. It could be as simple as that.
Only if
And
you've got the time, the
yeah,
expense, and the reason to do it.
yeah,
You know, you might just think, "I don't want to do this at all." Fine, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't feel pressure to do it. This show is all about just giving you ideas and
yeah.
inspiration. It is not telling you you've
This is
definitely
what you
got to
need
do
to
this.
do. Yeah, no.
That's the most important thing. And we'll leave it at that. Thanks for coming on
Yeah.
the show, Richard. I really appreciate
Thanks,
that.
Jim.
For everybody else, if you've got any questions later on, listen to the podcast or watching the show, please feel free to contact us. Stick
Yeah.
something in the comments, or you can privately message us as well. Till next time, guys, it's bye-bye from us.